Welcome, everyone, this week to Whatever with Don and Justin, another exciting show.
Yeah, whatever.
Do you take the red pill, the blue pill, or the whatever pill?
Yeah, whatever. Cause this is my United States or whatever. And this is my United States or whatever.
No matter what, don't stop believing, everybody. Keep the faith. Keep hope alive. So, this week, we have, as you probably guessed, Journey. Journey released on PS4, and Justin's been playing through it, and I considered buying it again. I don't know. The funny thing is, was it originally released digitally? I think it was, right?
Yeah,
and
then on a disc.
Right, so most people own it digitally, and it's cross-buy. So, like, if you just bought it on PS3, you automatically own it on PS4, right?
Yes.
And I'm one of the 15 people that bought the disc instead, so I can't. I have to buy it separately. So I'm debating. I don't know. I might. I was also debating renting God of War 3 remastered earlier, but I was like, I don't know, for like $3 for a day. I know what it's like. I just play the PS3 game. Also, we have an indie movie called Fallen Soldiers. The director of it contacted me. His brother is actually one of the gameplay programmers for Soma, and he works at Frictional Games. And the guy, he actually has like a cameo in the movie too.
Oh, that's
right. Yeah, so he also helped co-write it, and the guy, the Soma programmer that has helped co-write this movie, and yeah, his brother was just trying to get the word out because it comes out on DVD today, actually, on the 27th. So got that for you, and some other stuff. But first, as always, shut up, Journey. Justin, how's your week gone?
No more Journey. It's going all right, nothing but a regular week, a few panic attacks here and there, and I'm right as rain.
Cool. I went out to my car yesterday.
I heard.
I went out to my car yesterday just to go to the store and get some groceries. And when I went out to my car, my window was completely shattered. It was it was in shambles. There's no window left. There wasn't even like glass left in the window. It was just gone. And all my glass was, of course, sitting in the floor of my seat, or the floor of my car, and in the seat next to me, in the back seat. It was all over the place. And then it's all over the ground. And then my mirror was hanging from the cord. I don't know what the hell happened.
So nothing was stolen.
No, and that's the worst part. Nothing was stolen. It's like I think it was accidental. I found a keychain in my driver's seat, and it had like 4 keys on it, and fittingly it said WWJD. But it my guess is there's a bar right next to me, and I parked on the side where the bar is, and a lot of people will park in our parking lot and then walk over there, and they're not supposed to, but they will. I'm guessing either maybe some kind of spat happened and just got tossed through the window and it just shattered it, and they were like, oh shit, let's get out of here. Or maybe they just thought it would be funny and they just chucked it through. But I don't think I was targeted. I don't think that anyone was breaking in trying to steal anything. I think it's just kind of accidental, and one of these drunk idiots just kind of tossed their keys through my window, and it just happened to shatter it. It doesn't look like they rummaged through anything or anything like that. So I don't know. It was weird.
That's a bummer though.
It sucks. I mean, I've got to freaking pay for a window because my car is a piece of junk. I don't want a car payment, so I just have an old beater. But that just means I have liability insurance, so I don't have comprehensive, which is what covers broken windows, so I have to replace it myself, and that sucks. Yeah, so I did a little patch job today. I went out and got like some liner basically, and like cut it into the shape of the window and like taped it in there. It's a piece of plastic, so that's placeholder for the next couple weeks. Good times. But yeah, that sucked. That was kind of a downer. Good side is that I have like 75% of my home theater built now, which is cool in our living room. Because whenever my last roommate moved out, he took all the furniture with him. We had no furniture whatsoever other than what was in my room. And then my current roommate moved in, and all he has is stuff for his room, just like I bought stuff for
So
mine.
it's like nothing.
So there was nothing in the living room. So I bought a couch, a coffee table, a little shelf to put a projector on, and then I bought a 120-inch screen to put in the living room on the other side of the wall. We have this gigantic, like, real empty wall, and I was like, I could buy a lot of paintings and pictures and really try to crowdedly, like, kind of cover that up. Or in one fell swoop, I can have a 120-inch screen. So there you go. But the downside is I had to move my personal stereo basically out of my room into the living room for the time being so that we can have some sound with it, because that's the downside of a projector is there's no speakers with it. You know, you have like the one little tiny speaker on the projector itself, but that's, you know, so TVs come with speakers. That's kind of an advantage. But yeah, I mean, they're not expensive. You know, they're just a couple $300 and you can have a like 80-90-inch screen, you know, and the distance of a coffee table to the wall. It's pretty cool. But anyway, so that's done. And
You just mentioned wall, and earlier you were talking about your window shattered. To the window, to the wall. Okay, that was a really bad joke, but
dum dum dum.
dum dum dum.
So speaking of Need for Speed Underground, the next one coming out looks like Underground, but it's not, and it's always online. And unfortunately, EA is in a position where they would rather fire the guy in charge of it than have him answer a question honestly. Apparently, no, that's what I learned at E3 this year. That was kind of
They fired him?
interesting. No. That's just what I would think when I asked the guy, like, hey, so, you know, I asked him the question and he just danced around it like, so what we mean is basically, remember how Rivals sucked? This time it won't because we'll fixed it. And I'm like, okay, that's not exactly what I wanted to know. And I asked him specifically, do you have to have a subscription to Xbox Live or PlayStation Network? And he's like, you know, I'd rather people outside that are PR people, I'd rather let them answer, because if I give the wrong answer, I get fired. And I was like, holy shit. So anyway, I don't think he was serious,
That's
but
right. Nah, total joke.
yeah,
we love
probably
you, EA.
right.
Again,
You're right. It
total
probably
joke.
wasn't a joke at all. But yeah, I mean, that's just that's enough of that aside. How the hell do we go there? Anyway, so yeah, we got some stuff to talk about this week. What do you want to start with? You want to start with Journey? You want to take us on a journey?
Let's start with Journey just because it's a little bit familiar with people already.
Yeah,
but
people know what Journey is. Journey won a bunch of Game of the Year awards and stuff, right? Back in what 2012, 2011.
Yeah, something like that. And now it's out on PS4, and like, you know, as you said, if you own the original on digital, you get it for free. So
Right.
I downloaded it actually the other day, and I finally got a chance to play it. Was it either this morning or yesterday?
Yes.
I played it for about 20 minutes, and then I turned it off.
You're kind of done.
I you know, a journey is kind of self-explanatory. It's a journey, but you know, and there's mystery and wonder and kind of awe. But once you've done it, and you kind of experience that, I don't think it produces the same feeling on repeat playthroughs. It's a very basic game. You're basically going from point A to point B, and in between, you know, you get people that join you randomly in your game to help you, and the only thing that remains really is there's that bond that you get where you're helping somebody who can't talk to you, and they can't
Right.
you can't talk to them.
It's like
and
Splatoon.
Yeah, in a way, sort of, not really. But yeah, at least in the not talking part. But no, I mean, I got about 20 minutes into it, which is probably about 1/3 of the game anyway. It's not a very long game. And it's just, I was kind of like, well, I've done this before. It looks pretty. It runs at 60 frames, which is nice. But I mean, it's not like to me, it's more of an experience. And I know people hate using the word experience, but to me, it's one of those games that, like, the first time through, that experience was really great. Repeat playthroughs just aren't really doing it for me personally. And I'd rather just leave it as it was. Going through it gave me really good moments and chills and awe. And I'd just rather keep it. It's one of those things I'd rather keep in the past.
The sand
you know?
effects. The glittering sand effects.
Yeah.
Just as you remember them. Not bastardized like they apparently are in the PS4 version.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys. Jesus. Now, seriously, can we talk about the hyperbole around this crap that Digital Foundry starts? And
Oh, yeah.
look, Digital Foundry, you know, it's a little thing that Eurogamer has. It's like a division of them, kind of like a department, I guess. And basically, it's just something they do to kind of show how a game performs. They look at, like, technical aspects, and they sometimes put, you know, opinionated stuff in there. And I think that kind of throws people because it's supposed to be a technical analysis, which is just strictly information, you know?
Yeah.
And then they'll throw in like an opinion on like, we think that this harms the, presentation or has a negative effect or, helps it and it makes it even better than before or something like that. That kind of stuff mixed with the analysis kind of confuses people and it upsets people because when people, they read something and then, this opinion they might disagree with is thrown in their face with this. A lot of people are torn. Some people think they should just have information. They should have, an opinion on it. Other people just like, no, it's just kind of like it's an every man's opinion basically, right? Like they're trying to speak for you and that kind of thing. But anyway, inevitably what Digital Foundry articles do is cause a divide between people. And basically you'll get people going, wow, look how great this looks, or this is kind of disappointing, or, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, you get like, I don't know. It's a weird mix sometimes too. Like some people will go, wow, this is a great version of Journey. I like it. It runs at 60 frames per second. It looks beautiful, just like the original PS3 game. Then you got other people coming in and going, wow, really? I can't believe that the anti-aliasing actually is worse than on the PS3 game. And holy crap. Why are the grains of sand not shimmering like they were on the PS3? This is easily one of the worst HD ports I've ever seen. That kind of, and I'm like, how the fuck did we have both extremes on the same thing? Right. I think the people that are praising it are the ones that played it, and they're often the ones that don't notice these effects missing or things like that. Some changes here and there until they're pointed out to them, which basically speaks to how subtle those changes are. And then there are the other people that haven't played it yet and are just going off of the analysis that they're seeing and just going, I can't believe it. This isn't how a remaster should be. A remaster should be about preservation first and then enhancing things second, like that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, guys, settle down. Let's look at it here. Let's look at the overall picture. Let's look at other remasters and things like that. Like, for example, the recent prototype remasters. Okay, those are, for all intents and purposes, just bare bones ports. Okay, of the PC
They didn't
game.
put no advertising into it. They just dumped them out.
And there's no texture upgrades. There's no frame rate upgrades. There's no. I mean, the Xbox One version apparently even runs worse than the PS3 version last gen, which is crazy. That's what some people jokingly call a demaster. Okay, like that is an example of a remaster not done right. Okay, so whenever you get like Journey, which was Journey originally 30 frames?
I do believe it was.
So I can't remember. It's been a while since I played it. I think it was 30 frames a second, and now it's 60 on PS4. And for all intents and purposes, from the analysis I saw, which is, those are hard numbers. Like they're not debatable. Yeah. It runs at a solid 60 frames a second, bar a few seconds here and there where it dips to 55. And I can tell you as a PC gamer that really is sensitive to frame rate, if you're not going to really notice it dip to 55 frames a second. I mean, seriously. And especially gameplay-wise, it's not going to affect your input lag. It's not going to affect your enjoyment of anything. So honestly, I think they did a pretty solid job just looking at the numbers, just looking at the analysis itself. The thing that I've noticed is this like missing sand effect or whatever people are going on about. Basically, if you look at the two pictures, the two comparisons, the original game runs at 720p, right? And the grains of sand are bigger and fewer in the 720p presentation, and in the 1080p presentation, there's more sand and smaller grains. And basically, what I'm saying is that with more pixels, the sand is smaller, and therefore the effect is dulled because there's less. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's more of it.
There's
so
more
less
of it
to add, like a shine on it.
Right, exactly. So it doesn't stand out as much. It gets lost. But if you look at the two comparisons, it looks to me anyway like there's still just as much glimmer as before. On the PS3 version, there's just more grains of sand, so it seems like it's more subdued, and that's all. But it doesn't look like they actually changed it or anything. And the final thing, and the most important thing about the remaster is that the people in charge at, what is the name of the fucking studio again? That game company. the people at that game company, I don't is that game company's not around anymore, are they? But the people in charge,
I don't know. They might be around still.
I don't know. I don't think they are, but I think the people in charge basically that matter, that made Journey, and that need to sign off on this game actually saw it, and they signed off on it, and they gave it their approval. So if you have any problems artistically, you have to take it up with the people that actually came up with the concept themselves.
Okay, so Digital Foundry's been doing this for a while, but the comparisons and all that, and I do honestly believe when they first started doing it that they kind of did it as like genuine, like let's try this, let's see what performs better, and more of an informative thing. But they know now that it drives clicks, it drives views, it drives controversy. So that's what it's about,
right?
Regardless if it's true or not. What they do is true and accurate, but
adding the opinion helps fuel that kind of like clickbait, you know what I mean?
The thing about it too that I really always dislike about that is even like a game like Evil Within. So Evil Within, it was kind of rough on consoles. It has stuttering at times and it has some frame rate issues. But the thing is like a lot of that game at certain aspects, there's parts where it dips and there's issues, but there's a lot of that game that runs perfectly fine. But the thing is people like to think that they see these comparisons or they see these frame rate tests and they're like, oh, it dipped frames here. And the first assumption is just almost like this game just runs like shit altogether. And a lot of times that's not the case. It's just that certain areas with either different effects or certain moments of the game do dip, and sometimes it is kind of drastic. But 9 times out of 10, most of these games, the dips and stuff that occur don't happen the entire game. So if you're talking about a 20-hour game or a 15-hour game, and you're getting dips every couple of minutes or so, or every 3 scenes out of the whole game, it's really not that big a deal. But people love to just kind of jump on top of games in general and just kind of be like, well, this is shit, and this is sucky, and this is unplayable. And I'm like, really? I mean, I get it if you're a PC person, but like even then, I play games on PC now, have a great video card, and I can still handle it, no problem. It's not a big deal.
Right.
It's noticeable, yes, but is it like, oh my god, I can't play this game and it's shit? No, not at all.
No, and on PC you have a lot more control over things like that too. Like you have the option of downloading software or whatever that will help you limit the frame rate to 30 if you want to, or you can even limit it to whatever you want. You can limit it to 1 frame a second if you're stupid, but I mean you know just for kicks you can do that. So, but yeah, I think the biggest thing is that like you were saying, the frame rate isn't really an indication, I don't think, of a game's performance a lot of times. And let me explain that. There's something called frame time, and frame time is much more important than frame rate. If I'm benchmarking a PC game, okay, I can have dips to, say like an Unreal Engine 3 game, okay, that those games are notorious on PC just for loading times, okay, or not loading times, but like hitches while they're streaming in new data. So say you're, especially in like Arkham City, like an open world game like that, while you're sailing around the city, everything will be smooth, but then while it's streaming in new data, it'll start skipping a little bit. And that, while your benchmarking will drop down to like, 8, 9 frames a second and then immediately shoot right back up to 60, right? But the benchmark will show 99.9999% 60 frames per second, indicating like a really, really solid 60 frames a second, right?
Yeah.
But those hitches really do get in the way, and they really do, like, you know what I mean? They're really more severe than that 99.9999% or whatever of 60 frames per second will actually lead on. So the problem is that people are looking at frame rate, and then they see like, oh yeah, it drops to like 18, 19 frames a second. That might be during a loading screen. Not a loading screen, but like a part where it's streaming in info or something. That might be during a cutscene. It could be any number of instances, and overall, it just doesn't have a huge effect on gameplay. Okay.
Yeah.
The biggest thing to look at is frame time, and frame time is basically input lag, and that lets you know the milliseconds it takes between a frame rendering and a frame hitting your eyeball. Basically, is what it is. And so if that's jumping around and not like consistent, then your input, whenever you hit buttons, it's going to it's going to feel like weird because you're going to have instant response sometimes, and then other times you're going to have this like millisecond, 2-3 millisecond delay, not millisecond,
Yeah.
but like 2 or 3 frame delay, and it can jump around, and it really just feels weird, and it really is. I mean, it really does feel weird. You know what I mean? So like, I'm always been like a huge proponent of like a locked frame rate, because
Yeah.
a locked 30, a consistently locked 30 is better in my opinion
like an
than
erratic.
an erratic like 30 to 60 that kind of jumps around. Something like Tomb Raider Definitive Edition or something like that, where it just kind of goes in between 30 and 60. Or the God of War 3 on PS3 was a great example of that. That was the remaster. Digital Foundry did a face-off, between the two versions. And the biggest difference they found was that the input lag from the jumping around of the frame rate in the PS3 version is completely gone in the PS4 version. And the PS4 version just feels a lot more responsive as a result. And so that's basically because the frame rate is it's almost a locked 60. But if they locked the frame rate to 30 on PS3, it probably would have felt a lot better and more responsive than it does currently because they left it unlocked and it just jumps around. And at times, like I said, at certain times when there's not much going on, if you like hit an attack, you hit square, okay? He'll immediately, throw his chains out or whatever, and you'll notice there's no delay whatsoever. And then while you're in the middle of a huge battle with 20 enemies on screen, he'll hit square again, and there might be like a half-second delay, and all of a sudden it just feels weird, and you're like, well, why is it different now than it was 20 minutes ago? So it can really kind of mess up your experience because you, especially in fighting games and things like that, where reaction time is key. Frame time can actually have a huge impact on your gameplay, and so I wish they would start kind of measuring that instead of just the frame rate, because the frame rate is sexy and it gets like people worked up.
It's a flashy word now. It's an attention grabber.
It's something that people that have no idea what frame rate really is talk about. You know what I mean? And that's like I don't know. They're people that have a concept of what a frame rate is, but they don't really understand. I don't think, because they'll just kind of grab onto it, meaning that this system is better than theirs or whatever. You know what I mean? Like X system is better than system Y or whatever like that, because it's just a way for them to latch on to performance and bragging rights of owning a console of their preference or whatever. And, it just kind of fuels their fanboyism, and it just gives them, I don't know, it's EP and all that stuff. It's just complete bragging over something you have no control or, anything to do with. But it's just one of those buzzwords now, unfortunately, frame rate, that people just latch onto, and they go, see, no, I told you the PS4 is better because, the frame rate's better. And you're like, yeah, okay, I guess.
Now, see, you're kind of making me think of
Okay.
another spin-off topic here real quick.
Go for it.
But did you see all the salt in the thread on Gaff about PS4 not getting Tomb Raider for a year later? Oh my God.
A year's a long time.
A year is a long time.
Let's put it this way. I don't think this is going to hurt Sony, whatever's, PS4 owners nearly as much as it's going to hurt Square Enix and the recognition for... I think this is a bad deal for Square Enix, personally, for Eidos especially.
We just don't know how much money they made or got.
But listen, I don't think whatever they got paid is worth sacrificing the recognition that this game is probably going to deserve, because I think it's probably going to be pretty good. But I just don't think a year later, because we know that more fans of the new Tomb Raider, at least, are on the PS4, right? Because of just the sales of the Definitive Edition. I mean, that was like a straight head-to-head match, you know what I mean? Like, that was literally a real litmus test telling us where that fan base is. I just don't think that PS4 owners are going to care about it a year later.
And that's a possibility. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it, because like the thing is I don't see people really this is kind of off topic in a way, but on topic. It's like, I'm not mad that Street Fighter V is only on PS4. Like, that's fine. I'm like, I get it. If I really want to play Street Fighter 4, then I have to get a PS4. That's just how it would have to go. Granted, Tomb Raider is going to be coming out on PS4 eventually, and sooner on PC, and just first on Xbox. So everybody still gets to play it.
Yeah.
It's just some people have to wait. Now, there's people that are like, well, I'm just going to wait a year. I don't have a problem. Okay, I mean, I get that. But I also do think there will be people that don't want to wait, because let's be honest here. People are finicky. People don't want to wait. The internet today and phones and Twitter, everything's about like instant gratification, instant access. And also sometimes people get the bug of, I want what I can't have. So, will this sell a couple systems? It could. I don't think it'll sell a ton. But I think some people that we've either been waiting to get a system for like maybe Halo and Tomb Raider, they'll be like, all right, cool, I'll get Halo and Tomb Raider, So, and then not to mention, let's even say it did come out on PS4 and PC on the same day or on the same time. It's still going up against Fallout, which is like, it's like going up against a Rockstar game. It's a bad idea.
I think they've handled this very poorly from the get-go. When they announced the game, they didn't announce the exclusivity to Xbox until later. So that pissed people off because, I mean, people were assuming, because the last one was multi-platform and it was successful, and not only was it multi-platform, it was multi-platform because it got ported to more systems later. I mean, it was just a foregone conclusion that this one was going to follow suit, right? And then they announced later on, I think it's because the deal was inked later on, and I think it was because Microsoft were afraid that Uncharted 4 was going to kill it this holiday, and that ended up getting delayed. So, I don't know. Like, from that point on, it's just been mistake after mistake in my eyes. It's been like, and I know, look, I know they got money, to make it exclusive to Xbox. Clearly, that's the case. But is that money worth, damaging your IP? I feel like that's what's going on right now. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know if I'd trade whatever amount of money that they pay me to put it on a platform for X amount of months as an exclusive. I don't know if I'd trade it for the damage it's done because of the.
I get that, but I still don't really understand. Like, so people were trying to say, well, the Street Fighter thing's different, and I'm like, well, it is, but it isn't. The Street Fighter thing's worse because it's literally not coming out on one of the systems, whereas the other one's coming out on all. Yeah, it's a timed release, but at least everyone eventually, no matter what system they own,
I think people are upset. People are upset because Street Fighter V wouldn't have happened without Sony intervening. Yeah, but that's the main thing. This game was going to happen regardless, and it wasn't announced until after the fact that it's only on Xbox for however long, and then. And then they announce it's a year, like on top of that. So, I mean, a year's a long time. And, a lot of people own PCs, obviously, but I don't know. Like, it's a weird situation how they've handled it. I don't really.
People like to say, the Street Fighter V wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Sony. Really? Is that it? Do we know for a solid fact, truth, 100% that that's the case?
Well, that's
because
what they've said.
I kind of think it's bullshit. Like, I think it would have happened either way. Either Sony would have got it or Xbox would have got it. And I have a feeling there was bidding going on for that IP. And it was like, well, if you guys want us to make it, somebody's gonna have to help us because we're fucking dumb shits at Capcom now. We don't know what to do. So I don't know. It's just like, what do you believe? I mean, ultimately, as a person that plays games, I would say having your game on multiple consoles and spread out across, regardless of the time frame, is just the better overall release because it just makes sense. More people can play it, But then you're getting feelings in the way. Well, I don't get it for a year later, or I'm not going to care about it for a year later.
On top of it all, like, okay, fine. Look, you announce the game and then you gut punch Sony people because it's not coming out, or PC as well. It's like, what, 2/3 of the fan base? I mean, honestly, you gut punch them later on after the announcement, the initial reveal, by saying it's an Xbox exclusive for X amount of time, not disclosing the amount of time. But then you go and drop the ball by announcing that the release dates of the other two platforms before it even comes out on the Xbox platforms, therefore nullifying any reason whatsoever for me personally to buy an Xbox. Because if it's coming early 2016, I'm fine waiting. I'm not gonna go out and rush to get an Xbox.
I don't see this as a reason to get people to purchase an Xbox One.
Well, it was.
I look at it more as a way to just, hey, you have an Xbox One, you're getting rewarded. You get to play Tomb Raider earlier than other people. You know, like maybe
that's
it
what
was
it
at
is
some
now.
point supposed to be.
That's what it is now. I
But-
don't think
but
that's
here's
what it
the
was
thing.
in the beginning.
So let's flip it. Let's go back in history. What if the Xbox One was doing what blew away, and what if the Xbox One was better than PS3, like better than PS4, like the Xbox 360 was the PS3?
Mm-hmm.
Would we still be having these arguments? No, you'd probably have people going, "Fuck yeah, it's on Xbox One first. Fuck yeah, fuck the weak systems. Fuck the," I mean, like it's all about perspective. And I think you're right. I do think that they've handled it kind of weird, and it's been bad timing, and it's been bad this. That's kind of, I don't know if that's PR.
I just think they just shot themselves in the foot. I'm like, if you've already disappointed PlayStation fans, and you're just gonna go, hey, it's not coming until later. Don't tell them until after the fucking game comes out on Xbox, because
they've
look,
done that
they're not
before,
gonna go.
though.
They're not gonna go. Look, the PlayStation owners now are pissed because it's
Yeah.
a year. Look, if you just told them like, in January, look, it's coming later this year, then most people would go, look, yeah, it's fine. And then you keep stringing them along, and then at E3 2015, you go, guess what? It's coming at Christmas. And then people go, oh, wow, okay, we figured because it hasn't come out the first half of the year. Well, you just keep stringing them along. You don't just piss them off for an entire year. Now people are just going to be mad and totally forget it's even out. And then in holiday 2016, the game's going to tank. It's going to get like a Game of the Year edition or something with all the DLC intact for like $40 or something. Or if they're brazen enough to try to charge $60 for a game a year after it came out, that's going to tank too. So I don't know what they're thinking.
Like people are saying, if people are saying, well, I can wait a year, then how's that going to affect sales? If people are so adamant that saying, I'm fine with waiting a year, well, then you should still have a shit ton of sales from PS4
Well, they're fine
owners
with waiting a year because they're going to have Uncharted 4 to play. And that's going to be the better game regardless. But that's what I'm saying, is it's going to be, they wanted to play this game in lieu of having Uncharted 4 delayed, especially.
Yeah.
But
see, I think what you just said was a problem right there. That Uncharted 4 is going to be a better game regardless.
Probably.
When neither of us have played it.
I'm pretty sure
like
it will
the full
be.
games.
I'm pretty sure it will be because I played their last game, and their last game was, mediocrity defined until like a third of the way through the game. And then once you get into it, it's just hand holding and ugh.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
This is where we're going to disagree. So.
No, it's a fun game, but it's not a very good game. I don't know. It's especially bad compared to the previous Tomb Raiders in the franchise. So I don't know.
I will definitely give you that, but I don't think Uncharted games are exactly very deep or hard either, and I think they're very cookie cutter and very.
Well, they are, but this one coming up looks like it's going to break that mold
we'll
in a lot of
see.
ways.
I hope so, because everybody was shitting bricks over this demo, and then the second half of the demo is so crazy. I'm like,
looks like the first half. That's what I was saying too. I thought personally the video shown off earlier this year at the PlayStation Experience or whatever it was called,
better,
much more interesting than what they showed at E3
more
because
gameplay. They can do the cinematic stuff.
Oh yeah,
they've been
exactly.
doing that.
And that's, I mean, I get like you have to wow people at E3 or whatever, but I thought the more open environment kind of stealth gameplay was much more interesting and earlier on in the year.
And let's cut behind all the BS too. These games, we don't get many games like this, the cinematic, Uncharted, adventure type of game.
True.
So honestly, I'm excited to get my hands on the collection that's coming out. I'm excited to get my hands on 4. I'm excited to get my hands on Tomb Raider. And as a matter of fact, I'm kind of sad that these games are coming out all within a year time or 6 months time span, because it's going to be a shit long time till we get to play another game.
I'm hoping they really improve 3 because I've been replaying 3, and the end of 3 is complete trash. It's fucking horrible. Uncharted 3 I'm talking about. So I hope they fix that shit. God, it's fucking bad. But I like the game up to that point. But once you get into like the area right before you get into the Atlantis of the Sands onward, it's just tedious and just shit. Fuck that fucking game. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of rebalancing that needs to be done in that. And Uncharted 2, look, the Uncharted games are, to me, are kind of like Crisis. Like once you introduce like the supernatural or whatever elements in it, the games just goes to shit. So I don't, and that's all three of them. Honestly, personally, I thought 2 was fun up until I look at the Uncharted games more as like technical marvels because of how the presentation is, and honestly, to me, the games are much more fun like on easy because
Oh yeah,
I hate breaking the presentation
bullet
and
sponge.
dying. I love having it just play
And
all the
bullet
way
sponges aren't
through.
fun.
I love having it play all the way through as like a movie because
Yeah,
that's
I know. I
exactly
agree.
where it shines. And once you start dying, I mean, there are parts in the third one I've died like 10 times in a row just because they'll spawn you in this one little area and you have no cover and there's like 7 guys starting to surround you and just
Grenade
rushing you.
launcher,
It's
dude, and you're
ugh,
like,
yeah,
oh
it's
shoot.
awful. And it's just really tedious. So I'd love to just play through them and put a movie mode or something. I actually saw somebody speculate that there could be a way in the Uncharted collection to actually play all 3 completely all the way through without any interruption, like one gigantic game. So I think that would be
That'd be
kind of interesting.
interesting. I mean, I think both of us are fans of the games, the Uncharted, and even the latest, the old Tomb Raiders and the new one. But
Well,
I'm thinking,
I was
go
to
ahead.
say, like I said, like the new Tomb Raider, regardless of my opinion on it being linear and different from the old ones, I still played through it like 3 times. I don't know why, but
Well, yeah,
it's
I've played through it
ridiculous.
multiple times, and same with Uncharted. But I think we hope that both of them kind of outdo themselves and kind of expand.
Yeah,
Like Tomb Raider. What do people
right.
want to see? More puzzles, a little bit more, because Tomb Raider kind of had the whole Metroidvania like world map sort of thing going on with abilities, which was
Yeah,
what a lot of people liked more versus like Uncharted.
right.
Now I don't know if the new Tomb Raider is going to have that because we don't really know. It could have because it looks like it's in
Probably
multiple locations,
more. I think
so they could
it's.
have like.
I think
Hmm?
they've said there will be tombs this time, like actual
Yeah,
puzzle tombs and stuff. So
and
it's
some of the
some
footage we've
elements.
seen has looked like it might have puzzles. Like you see her pushing a mine cart and it goes sliding down into a room, and
Right.
so yeah, I mean we might get that. And I would say if they added that into it, and they maybe dialed back the combat just a little, uh, I think people would maybe be more on track for it. And then with Uncharted, it's basically like you're saying with the new stuff. Like I think it's funny though, how they took the idea from Tomb Raider with the ice pick type thing.
Yeah.
The
Right.
so I
Yeah.
mean that was a cool thing in Tomb Raider, and then so no wonder they wanted to use it. But the mobility and the combat scenarios look to be a lot better and more open ended and more kind of to the player's advantage of getting creative in Uncharted, and that would go a long way in making the battles a bit more than just move forward like they
Hmm.
have been in all the other ones. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, we just want better from both of the series. I think in general.
Yeah. I mean, I play the Uncharted games just for the spectacle. I'm not gonna lie. Like the
Yeah.
story, I like the writing. I know that the stories are kind of meh.
Well, well, I mean, it's like Indiana Jones. Does anybody really watch those movies for a story? No, it's more
No.
about the adventure and the
Right.
the set pieces and the environments and
Well, it's a
just the action.
same reason I play Call of Duty. Honestly, like I
Yeah,
like Modern Warfare 3 personally because it's so over the top and it's crazy. But I hate dying because it breaks the momentum and the feeling of like the action. So
yeah,
I'll just drop it to easy and just breeze through the game. But at the
yeah.
same time, I get that feeling of like all American hero, like
Yeah,
America,
games
fuck
don't
yeah.
have to be challenging to be good. I mean, while there's so many people out there that want that next Dark Souls or Bloodborne game, and it can be challenging and very rewarding, there's other ones that because games have become and taken on this
Well,
cinematic
like
experience.
Gears of War is an example of an Uncharted type game that's actually kind of difficult at times, but it's rewarding because the combat's fun and I don't mind dying more often in that game because this it's not so much about set pieces. I just feel like the Uncharted and Tomb Raider games are more about set pieces and the
Yeah,
combat. I think I've always thought the combat in Uncharted is actually its weakest aspect because it's just like you were talking about bullet sponges
yeah.
and I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
I
Like a
like the
lot of times,
platforming better in Uncharted than I do
yeah.
with
And
like the
there's a
combat.
lot of times like it has that kind of Assassin's Creed effect where like you'll hit a button, you'll hit circle right, and you want to dive, but then he'll just like get sucked to taking cover or something like that. So like. It's just kind of floaty. I guess the
Yeah,
controls have always felt to me. So that aspect of it is not why I play it. That's all I'm saying. So
yeah. No, it
yeah,
makes
that's.
sense, and yeah, that's all. I totally feel you on that. I play all my
But we'll
every time
see.
I've replayed it, it's on easy.
We'll see. It's really baffling to me how they've handled Rise of the Tomb Raider. So, anyway, yeah, hopefully that works out for him because I don't wish ill on him. I just think
Oh
it
yeah.
could have been done a lot better, and what am I? I'm just a guy like in front of a microphone. I work in television. I don't work in marketing, so I do work in marketing, but not gaming. So
Not
what do I
gaming,
know?
but still,
What do I know?
I think you're right. It's a little it's been kind of a train wreck watching the various things happen.
It's kind of like a clinic on like how not to handle a game to me, but whatever. All right, so moving on. Let's talk about this movie Fallen Soldiers because I want to fit it in here. So this guy, like I said, he's the brother of the gameplay programmer for Soma, the upcoming game from Frictional Games, the company that made Amnesia. You can guess you guys probably know what that is, and he co-wrote the script with his brother, and his brother's name's Bill Thomas, and Ian Thomas is the guy that works for Frictional. But it's as he described it to me. It's a Napoleonic-zombie flick, and he explained he made sure to mention that it was made for 1/250th the budget of Shaun of the Dead. And personally, I don't think it looks that low budget. I mean, it looks low budget, but it has pretty good production values, and it's very, very well made. It's very like professionally done, if you will. It doesn't look like like someone took a handy cam and like went out with family and friends, and actually it's a legit movie. Like it's a legit film.
I would say that some of the aspects that seem maybe lower budget is overuse of locations, like dialogue moments.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean,
I'd say that was the biggest thing that just struck out to me as low. But even then,
that's the indie aspect of it too.
Yeah,
it goes for, if you will, I think it's fair to say that it goes for sort of like a Reservoir Dogs feel, if you will, because look, Quentin Tarantino has made movies that take place in like one room before.
Yeah,
and they're actually classics and people love them. So I'm not gonna knock it for that. I think though, like you're saying, that's one indication that it's lower budget because they have this. And it's a decent set, I think. Like it looks like inside of a carriage, it's a horse carriage, but and I feel like the aesthetics are actually really well done too. Like it actually sells the period that it's in really well, really authentically. It takes place in the 18th century, I think. I'm sorry, I'm spacing.
Yeah, I'm bad with the
director's going to listen to this and kill me for it.
Ye olden days.
Yes, but I want to say it's around like 17th century, maybe 18th. 18th, maybe 19th century, but I always get that mixed, like, because 1700s is 18th century, 1800s is 19th century. It's always like throwing people off, but somewhere in there. And it takes place in Europe. It's in France, and it tells the story of this this British spy who kind of overtakes this couple while they're just kind of like on a afternoon ride in their carriage, basically, and he ends up like killing the woman's husband and tossing him out of the carriage.
Not expect.
Yeah, he kills him and tosses him out of the carriage, and then they get stopped at the French lines because the French are actually looking for British spies, and the wife, the woman, actually helps the British spy convince the French inspector that her husband was the British spy, and that they actually killed a British spy a few miles back. So they have like this long scene where they're just sitting there, like kind of, waiting for them to get actual like approval of his story to authenticate it. And then once they do, they actually like let them go through the lines. And then on just a whim, the woman actually like turns the tides on the guy, on the British spy, and kind of holds him hostage, and it's basically like starts grilling him like, who are you, why are you holding, why are you doing what you're doing, why are you here, that kind of stuff. And basically the guy comes up with a story, and he tells her like this really hard to believe story, and he's begging her, please believe me, I'm telling you the truth, you're not going to think I am, but I totally am. And he basically tells her like the French are creating an army of the undead, basically, and there's a sickness that they have control over, and they've inflicted on the population, and basically it's, or not the population, but on soldiers, and it's basically going to turn British soldiers into undead soldiers that they control, and they're going to use it to take over the world, basically, or win the war. And she's like, that's complete bullshit, you know what I mean? And he's like, no, seriously, I'm telling you the truth. And he is telling her the truth, and he goes on, and the rest of the movie basically is him telling her the story, and they go from the story to in flashback form to present time in the horse carriage, and that's where Justin's talking about. They keep flashing back to the horse carriage while he's inside it, and he's slowly but surely getting sicker as the time goes by, because as we later find out, he's actually been bitten, and he is afflicted with this sickness, and it goes from there. And I'm not gonna lie, I got a little kind of turned around, and I'll probably have to go back and watch it again just to catch all the details, because I probably made the mistake of watching it too late at night, to be honest, to follow everything. But for what it is, I thought it was actually really well made, and I thought it was pretty interesting. I actually really liked the writing personally, and I thought it was, I don't know, like I was expecting, I don't know what I won't say I was expecting like worse, because I feel like that's kind of an insult. I was expecting really, really low budget stuff, like, you know what I mean, like
I know
like
exactly.
college humor kind of stuff, you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff. No, and what I got was actually like a competent, like really well put together film, and I was actually really surprised by that.
It takes itself seriously. I think another thing that viewers probably know though is that it, for the theme and what it's going for though, I don't think there's a ton of gore or a ton of moments with the actual like zombies. I mean, what's there is nice, and when they're on screen and what they're going for is nice, but don't think of this as like a zombie movie. Think of it like almost like a historical movie drama with zombie stuff in it.
Right.
Would you say the same?
It reminds me, I want to draw parallels somewhat to a movie I saw a couple years back called Black Death. And it's about the let me say bubonic plague. I can barely get that word out of my mouth. And it stars Sean Bean. And I thought that movie was really, really well made. I thought it was a really good movie. But it's a really slow movie, and it doesn't really, it's not like action packed. And that's another obviously low budget thing. And like you're talking about, it's a really like kind of slow plotting movie. I thought the acting was actually really good in this. I thought it was really, really solid. And I wasn't expecting that either. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting, maybe it was the way it was pitched to me, just because, he kind of focused on like the real low budget stuff. And he was really humble and just kind of almost self-deprecating with it. But honestly, like I was really I was into it. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like I was really like 20, 30 minutes into it. Yeah, I could see it being boring, sure. But I was actually, like, buying into the story. I was actually, I thought it was pretty well paced. I thought the editing was pretty good. I thought, like I said, the set pieces and stuff actually did a really convincing job of selling.
Costumes.
Yeah, the costumes are great. I thought the main actor actually reminds me of Kevin McKidd, who plays, he was in, like, a show called Journeyman, and that show got canceled like one season in, but he was in like HBO's Rome and stuff like that. But he's another blonde guy that just has that look about him,
Yeah.
But he's actually like the main actor in this I thought he does a really good job personally. And then the main girl, like I was expecting some really, really cringeworthy stuff from her. I don't know why, but I was. And then I was actually like really kind of pleasantly surprised because
I think she has the look, kind of.
Yeah,
it's hard to describe unless you've seen her, but
right, she's very very French looking, but she's not French.
She has a look though, and she has these wide eyes that she gets.
Yeah,
but I mean, but yeah, you're right. She did her part very well. Now let me ask you this too. I'm not gonna spoil it for people, but.
Sure.
The ending, did you feel like it just kind of like boop, it's over?
Yeah, no, yeah. The very end, I felt that. I felt that.
I was like, what? I was like, wait, what else?
The story leading up to the ending too, it gets a little convoluted. I'm not gonna lie, like it kind of, like you said, the movie takes itself really seriously, and it's not a comedy like at all. Like there's no like laughing moments in this movie. But I felt like it kind of gets convoluted because of the whole like, trying to take advantage of the undead thing, and I don't know, like it kind of has that like Wolfenstein story, where they're like, oh well, we can. It's basically it's what the Nazis and stuff were rumored to, not rumored, but were have
testing.
What they were trying to do. You know, like they were trying to unleash the powers of hell because what could be worse? You know what I mean? What could be more powerful? But at the same time, yeah, it really kind of gets a little confusing, and
Yeah.
I think that works obviously as a detriment to it. But at the same time, like up to the ending, I was really into it, and I thought it was actually really. I thought it's well directed. I think
Yeah.
the guy did a good job directing it.
It's one of those things where you're making a movie, and anybody that's done production of movies or skits or anything of that nature and done it for a
Mhm.
while, you want to write a good story, you want to have a
Right.
good in-depth story, but sometimes less is more. But sometimes getting to that point is harder said than done. So I think that's kind of like. I think it maybe some stuff was trimmed a little, or they didn't try to as heavy fisted towards the end. That probably would have helped it. But I mean, yeah, like you said, when you'd sent me a thing saying, "Hey, check this movie out. It's really low budget, blah blah." I was kind of going into it expecting like really poorly, like handy cam, like you
Right.
said, stuff, and I'm like, this just looks like a straight to DVD type of movie, which isn't. Those usually aren't like the lowest. I mean, I've seen actually straight to DVD movies that looked way worse
Yeah. No.
and,
No. No.
and, and more done than this
Like
movie.
the
This is
cinematography is
pretty
really good.
competent.
Cinematography is really good in this. I'm gonna give
Yeah.
him that. And like the direction, like I said, is really good. The editing's really well done. The shot selection's really cool. Like there's a lot of cameras. There's a lot of shots rather with the camera, like the shaky cam kind of stuff, where it's like a flashback and it's supposed to be like this really hectic like moment in the guy's memory, and it kind of goes into that Walking Dead kind of like "Rawr," like you
Yeah.
see like the zombie screaming and like the camera shaking and it's all yellow and all that stuff, and it doesn't look like what I mean, and that's really effective. Like I think he does a really good job when he cuts to those moments. It's really in your face and it's really kind of unexpected, and it helps like move things along really quickly because it's a really boring ish kind of like slow plotting dialogue scene, and then all of a sudden it just goes like "Ah!" It's like right in the
Yeah.
middle of it, and you're like, what
With
the
that
fuck?
like screen tearing effect and
Yeah,
everything.
right,
Which I liked.
Yeah, like the editing's really good, like the direction's solid. I just think the writing gets a little convoluted toward the end, and that kind of like bogs it down more than anything. But the like you were saying, like the production value is really good. Like I was really impressed with it, and I thought like overall I thought it was a pretty decent movie. Yeah, hopefully he'll do something else soon. I know it took a while to get to. I think this, from what I saw, the link that he sent us was actually put up like a year ago. So it's been a while. Like he's trying to get some momentum with this movie, and trying to get people. He just told me he's trying to get the word out so people will
Now,
watch it.
see,
Obviously, but
I saw what you're talking about the year ago, but I think that might be when he made his account.
okay.
Maybe
Well,
it might be when he uploaded it, but I thought it was his account.
okay. Well, I'm sure he's been trying to get it out there for a while, but
Also, wasn't there another movie coming out that was similar to this? It was like
Probably.
Napoleon or other like in the history, and it was zombies, but I don't remember the name of it. But I could have swore
that makes me
unless
like
this
there's
is
the Nazi one that we watched.
no, not
Dead
that
Snow
one.
kind of stuff.
No,
But
it
those
was
are
a
all
different one, but
most of the time those are like fun, like kind of romps, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And this one's just like dead serious, literally. Like it's
Yeah,
just like
it's a drama history piece with zombie flavor.
yeah, pretty much.
Really.
It's not really a zombie. I mean, it is a zombie movie at times, but
It's
yeah.
not really horror.
It is-
I mean, it's
I do give them credit though because you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? Because I
Yeah.
feel like they did a really respectable job at like attempting to have an original plot line, like an original twist on the genre. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
but at the same time, like I said, it gets a little confusing, and maybe I just didn't follow it correctly. Like maybe it actually does make. I'm sure it makes 100% sense, but like if you have to watch it twice, I don't know. Sometimes that's intentional. Sometimes people intend for it to be convoluted, like Interstellar, and it's like what? And then you have to
Yeah.
watch it again and again, and that's the whole point. If you want to see repeat viewings. I feel like this movie is one of those where you just want the audience to be able to click with it immediately. But at the same time, if they did like a completely cliched ending, you know what I mean, where I saw it coming from a mile away, I would have probably knocked it even more than I am now because I respect the convoluted attempt at like a really original, different take on the genre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
No, definitely.
yeah, so I give him credit for that. But at the same time, it just kind of, and like you said, it just kind of ends, like it kind of fizzles out. So I'm
It
not
made me
really a
think
big
that
fan
there
of
was going to
those
be
kinds of
another
things.
one. Just the way I don't know, just like it made me think there'd be another one, but I don't know. It just ends kind of like oh, with
Yeah,
ended.
no, it
Like, I
literally
don't know.
does.
That's just how it left me feeling. I was like, oh, it ended. Oh,
It reminds
there's
me
the
of
credits.
the movie The Devil Inside. Did you see that one? It was
No,
like
I've
a
heard of it.
found footage possession film. But anyway, the movie literally kind of ends, and it's basically like, go to this website for more. It's just like text on the screen, and it's like, go to this website for more, more uncovered footage of the document, whatever. It was horrible. It pissed everybody off. And yeah, I mean, this isn't nearly that egregious, but yeah,
Yeah,
just
it
kind
doesn't
of like
sound
in
like
the
it.
middle of what seems like it's going to be another like 5-10 minute little plot. Nope, just kind of goes away. So, but yeah, but anyway, Bill, if you're listening, I actually enjoyed your movie. I thought you did a really good job directing it, and I thought it was pretty well written. I kind of got a little bit lost toward the end. So, if you want to come on the show and kind of explain to people everything that went on, that would be cool. I don't think
Yeah.
Justin would oppose to
No, not at all. And
having you on the
matter
show.
of fact, I hope to see more from him.
Yeah, I think he's a very competent director, and obviously, your brother and your brother knows what he's doing as far as horror goes. And I even told him, I said it's cool that horror runs in the family, because because Amnesia is pretty solid, but and Soma looks like it's going to be a solid effort too. So yeah, I hope you guys do well with this film, and I'm glad that you're out there doing what you're doing, because we need more people that are competent in the genre, because unfortunately over the past like couple of decades, it's been kind of like rough going, honestly, because the indie scene is where all the horror is gone, but unfortunately, like found footage, that's like that kind of took over for the indie scene
Yeah.
for a lot of stuff. And then, like now it's all international stuff, obviously, and I believe Bill's British, but that's the thing, is it's just like it's not every day where you'll see like an actual competent, like really low budget film. And
Yeah,
I'm
I mean
glad.
it's kind of like when we watched
a relief.
Creep. Creep was a really
Yeah.
low budget movie that
Right.
I thought was well done, and on Netflix it's got a rating of 1 star, and I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Does it
Like,
really?
yeah, I was like so surprised, and obviously it's because there's no production value. It's like very bare bones,
Probably.
and it was filmed pretty much with a handy cam, but
Yeah.
it was so well written and acted that they sold their idea.
Oh, the main character in that's crazy. He literally comes across nuts, and it's
Yeah.
just a really solid performance. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but sometimes I actually prefer these lower budget, no name major actors in them, and you don't know who's gonna live, you don't know who's gonna die, and you just get
That's
surprised by them. And I'm not gonna lie, it's like you'll see a lot of these big budget movies, and they follow a pattern. Whether it's in comedies or horror, you usually got, like in comedies, you usually get, the comedy stuff. Oh, and then here comes the big gloom. The big depressing moment where either these people get in a fight and they're not friends anymore, or the store's gonna get shut down and we got to save it. And then at the end of the movie, what do you know? Hey, we saved it, or we saved our relationship, or we got back together. I mean, they're so typically written in
Yeah.
that order. Indie movies have a more tendency to not do that, or follow kind of a more erratic or their own just style. And then that's another reason I like them. They're a little bit more unpredictable, and you get to actually see some people do some acting that you maybe never seen before, and they do a damn good job. And you think about how many movies go straight to DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, and you don't know who these people are. But there's so many movies being made. People forget that while there's the AAA movies and Minions and all this other stuff, there's these other movies that people have their own, like, almost sub community in Hollywood that's for these lower budget movies, and they are in those, and they have their own following, and they're these actors that are making a living doing these straight to DVD or low budget movies, and they're making it because that's they might not have a huge mass star appeal like Arnold or something, but they're doing their thing and they're having fun with their career, and it's just cool to see it from that angle too, and appreciate indie movies. So yeah, power to you, man. I hope to see you do another flick. Because I think this was a good one, and if this was your first kind of major feature film, it's pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's a real accomplishment just to get a film made. Honestly, it's especially one that actually doesn't have boom mics in the shots and things. So
Yeah.
it's like
Get
it's
it off the set.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like I said too, like this is a lot of times in horror, especially, movies will settle, I guess, for being low budget and like schlock. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this movie aspires to be much more than that, and I really appreciate that effort. And I think he really pulled off something that I couldn't have, honestly. because it's just, it's really hard to, like I said, get anything done. Especially, I can't imagine. I don't know how long he's been trying to trying to get this movie completed and out there. But even have it coming out on DVD is an accomplishment. So
Yeah.
power to you, man. Like Justin said, because it's we know personally it's not easy to get that stuff done. So yeah,
It's and then you got filming,
oh,
pre-production, post-production, all the editing. It's and that's just on the level of shorts and other little things that we've done. But a full movie takes a lot of work, a lot of cast, a lot of time, locations, and even now myself, I've kind of been doing some local auditioning for a local group here, and even that's a part I've never had to do because I always either work with the people directly or work with myself. So that's even a different aspect, and I'm like,
there's
this is interesting. This is
a
new.
lot of family and friends like making cameos, a lot of paying people and lunch, that kind of stuff. Like I don't know how much of that went on with this movie, but I mean like. It can be rough, honestly, and a lot of times that roughness can help or hurt the movie. So I don't know, like maybe, So I don't know, like it's really hard to actually do a serious horror film. I don't know if that's coming across like I hope it is, but it's really easy to make like one of those comedy horror, kind of like schlocky, intentionally bad movies because whenever you don't have a budget and you have these people who really can't act that well, it's real easy to play all that off as, oh, look, well, we intended it for it to be that way. We intended for it. So to actually make like a really serious, dark, like you were saying, it has a much bigger budget look to it than it actually did. To be able to pull it off successfully is incredibly hard. And I felt like he did it for the most part. So I was really impressed by it. What'd you learn this week?
I learned that we can have different opinions and still like each other at the end of the day.
This is our last show, so
No,
we've been doing that for a long time.
I've always appreciated that about me and you. We can talk and we can get all heated, and then it's like, hey, whatever, let's go to the next topic. Good, go.
Next topic, whatever. Yeah, I learned that cleaning up glass can be very dangerous this week.
Yes.
Be very careful, people. I also had a very bad day yesterday. It was really weird. It was like, no, I had a great day, and then like that from that part where I walked out and saw my car window shattered to the part where I went shopping, came home. I had to go vacuum all the glass. I still missed some, so I have to go do it again. And then I come home and I'm like cleaning another like glass to drink out of, and that glass breaks in my hand, and I cut my fingers. I was like, Jesus, what's with today? So that sucked. And then, of course, I didn't have Band-Aids, so I had to go buy those, and it was just a fucking bad day. But today was much better. But I also learned this past week that having a home theater can help cure a lot of woes. Yes. We said woes at the same time. Drinks. All right. So thanks for listening this week, everybody. As usual, you can find us online everywhere.com/whatever podcast, WHATEVA. Not ER, unfortunately, because the losers that took ER are off making some crappy B movies that nobody will ever watch. And they deserve it. Please follow us on Twitter as well. I am at It's Don Allen. He is at Justinator5000, right? Mm-hmm. And like us on Facebook, all that stuff, and subscribe on YouTube, on iTunes as well. That way you don't have to miss any shows, and it'll just be pushed to your desktop or your phone or whatever you listen on. So until next week, everybody, take care of yourselves and that extra little special someone known as each other. See ya.
Bye-bye. We love you.